Alright, today we're going to unbox and test out this RCA amplified outdoor attic spiral design TV antenna. The front of the box has all the usual next-gen 8K, 4K marketing stuff on there, and a couple of suggested mounting methods, either outside, mounted to a wall, or in an attic, although this antenna will also mount to a mast, which is how I'm going to test it out today. RCA claims that this antenna will receive both low and high VHF TV channels. That's not a claim you see from many antenna manufacturers. Low VHF TV channels are often excluded from most antenna designs. They broadcast on RF channels 2 through 6 and normally require antenna elements which are much longer. So we'll see if this antenna is up for the task. The box describes this antenna as having multi-directional reception capability. That is really not unique. Most antennas made nowadays have some degree of multi-directional reception abilities. What that really means is the antenna probably has a fairly wide pickup area. If you have two signals coming from adjacent directions, then the antenna should be able to pick those up if it's aimed somewhere in the middle. For example, in my location, I have signals coming from the north and northeast. They're spaced about 45 degrees apart, and this antenna, as you'll see, has no problem picking them up. But again, that's nothing special. Most antennas can do that unless they are designed to be extremely directional. And multi-directional should not be confused with omnidirectional. A TV antenna that's omnidirectional picks up signals from all around in a 360-degree pattern. This one, though, because of its relatively flat design, might pick up some signals from the back. So if you have any stations that are broadcasting in opposite directions, then you might have some luck with this antenna design if you install it in the right location. The amplifier has a built-in filter that should prevent 4G, LTE, and 5G cell phone signals from interfering with your TV signal. Assembly was pretty straightforward. Since I'm putting this on a mast, I put the U-bolts on the bracket, and then to connect the bracket to the main antenna body, there are some teeth that have to mesh together on these two parts, and these are held together by a single bolt. Just screw these two parts together, and then it's simply a matter of installing the VHF elements. The longer elements for low VHF channels 2 through 6 get put on the top, and the high VHF elements, the shorter ones, get put on the bottom. They get threaded in, hand tighten only, and do not cross thread them. And here is what you get out of the box. Here's the antenna, which I've already assembled with the mast clamps that are included. You also get some hardware for wall mounting. This is the inline amplifier, a length of coax cable, which is really thin. This is for indoor use only, although I would strongly recommend you get a piece of RG6 coax cable to use instead of this stuff. There's also a quick start guide and instruction manual, which I have to say walks you through the step-by-step process pretty well of assembling the antenna, aiming it, and running a channel scan as well. A quick look at the included amplifier. This is for indoor use only. Don't go mounting this outside. On this end, the cable from your antenna connects here. This end connects to the RF in port on your TV or digital converter box. And in the power supply, power gets injected here. Now, this antenna will continue to work whether or not you even use this amplifier. You have to decide if it's right for your reception area. In some cases, using an amp can actually over-amplify a signal and cause channel dropout. So you can use this with or without. And in the future, if this power supply ever fails, the good news is that your antenna will continue to work. Size-wise, this would be a small to small medium outdoor antenna. The overall length with those long elements on the top meant for low VHF channels 2 through 6, 44 inches. The second set of VHF elements on the bottom, 39 inches. Those would be meant for the high VHF channels, 7 through 13. The spiral body is about 12 inches high from top to bottom, and that would include probably some kind of loop elements in there for UHF channels 14 through 36. And the overall height from the bottom of the mast clamp to the top is 15 inches. It's got a very thin profile, as you can see. On the back side, it's got the integrated 75 ohm coax connector. That's a nice touch. No wires dangling down from a transformer. You can also mount this to a mast, and I've got the U-bolts and mast clamp installed for that. Although you can take those off and just as easily use this bracket to mount this to a wall as well. The build quality is pretty good. It's very light and feels pretty sturdy. These elements are threaded into the body quite deeply and are holding well. If you're going to mount this on a wall or put it in an attic, it should be fine. My only concern is if you have this up high on a mast, this spiral body here presents quite a target for a gust of wind, so you might want to keep an eye on that. And as I always do to test any antenna out, this one is mounted on a mast 17 feet in the air, pointed in the direction of my local broadcast towers. All the stations in my area broadcast on the VHF band, namely RF channels 2, 4, and 9. They also transmit at low power levels, 1.2 and 4.5 kilowatts. Let's go inside and see how this antenna is performing. And with the amplifier connected, these signals are getting a nice boost. RF channel 2 coming in with a nice strong signal in the mid 70s. RF channel 4 also nice and strong in the high 60s. And RF channel 9, the strongest of all, coming in with a signal in the high 70s and touching up into the low 80s. Well, measuring those signal strengths with just the antenna, no amplifier, was a bit of a different story. RF channel 2, still a decent signal, but much lower, right around 60%. RF channel 4 came in the mid 40s, no pixelation, but that's just above the threshold for dropping out. And RF channel 9 didn't seem to be affected too much, still coming in the mid 70s. One aspect of this antenna that I'm not able to verify the performance of, but I do think it would do well with, is UHF stations. That's really where most TV stations broadcast on nowadays. The size of the UHF loops on this antenna, about 12 inches in diameter, should provide good reception on RF channels 14 to 36. If you're looking for a TV antenna that's not oversized, that covers the full band of over-the-air TV reception all the way from channels 2 through 36, then you might want to check out this RCA spiral antenna. That amplifier seemed to give those signals a good boost in my area, and I also like the fact that it has a variety of mounting options in an attic, on a wall. You can put it outside on a mast. You could even use this as an indoor antenna if you have the space. And I would say this would work well in a city or suburban reception area, no more than 40 miles from the broadcast towers. If you live further than that, you're definitely going to want to look for a bigger antenna that has more elements.